champions, who themselves aren't short of a few dollars, Sugar Ray Leonard and Larry Holmes, have taken the opportunity to get back in the ring, not to fight this time, but to talk about the strengths and weaknesses, if they have any, of Tyson and Spinks.
Larry, if there was anyone that's more familiar with the styles of Michael Spinks and Mike Tyson, that would be you, big guy.
You're right, Ray. I did fight Michael Spinks twice, and I fought Michael Tyson. Even though the fights did not go as I wanted them to go, I still found out a lot of interesting things.
Well, it's no big secret the way Mike Tyson fights. As you take a look here with his fight against Pinkland Thomas.
Right here with Pinkland Thomas, Mike Tyson do not give him any room at all. And when I found, in my experience of fighting Mike Tyson, he throws punches with both hands. He's very quick, he's very determined, and he never stops. And this is one of the problems that Michael Spinks is going to have. He's got to be ready for this fight.
Larry, you just talked about the hand speed and the power of Mike Tyson. Let's talk Michael Spinks now. What should Spinks do to neutralize that? For instance, I'm Mike Tyson, which is going to be kind of tough, but I'll try it anyway. What should Spinks be doing at this point here?
I think Spinks got to do the things he's been doing. He got to use his jab, giving this guy angles, moving side to side, and then come in here and tie him up when he gets close. Referee break it, push him off, and come back and do the same thing. Come in with his flurries like this, and then get on off like that. And then if he gets in trouble again, tie him up. That's what he got to do all night.
Okay, Larry, talking about Michael Spinks, let's take a look to see what makes him so special.
I wouldn't say special, Ray. I would say awkward. Michael Spinks is very awkward. Mike Tyson has to be ready for that. Spinks gives you the angles, he moves side to side, he throws punches when you least expect him to throw them. And Tyson got to be ready for that.
Larry, Michael Spinks is awkward, but he calls it unique. And I found out through my own personal experience in the ring, dealing with the awkward fighter, it was quite difficult. Now for a young Mike Tyson, what should he do to contend with that unique style of Michael Spinks? This time, Larry, I'll be Michael Spinks.
What he's got to do, Ray, is the same thing that he's been doing all the time. Just go to the body, back Michael Spinks, back up against the rope. Just keep going, use the ring, cut him off, and then eventually that right hand will land. That's what he's got to do to Michael Spinks.
Okay, Larry, we talked about the strong points. Let's concentrate now on the weak areas.
You got it. One of the things I noticed about Mike Tyson, he leaps in, and when he leaps in, he's vulnerable for a left uppercut. And Michael Spinks throws a good left uppercut. And another thing, as you see me fighting here, Mike Tyson sometimes get to be flat-footed, and if you get up on your toes and use that jab, he's very vulnerable to that too. Ray, Mike Tyson is not as strong inside as people think he is, because when he got inside, I was able to tie him up just like that, and I was able to turn him. If Spinks can do that, he can land right hands and left hooks on that. And I think that would be really good for Michael Spinks if he can do that.
But you know, Larry, I also found out that at times, Tyson has a tendency to put both feet together, and in doing so, he's off balance. So a little push, he's off balance. Tell you what, let's take a look at Michael Spinks' weakness also.
One of Mike Spinks' weaknesses is his weakness. He's not strong at all. He throws a lot of punches, but those punches don't really hurt you. And if you don't hurt Mike Tyson will run over you. And when he gets tired, he's got a tendency of dropping his left, and that's when you can come over with a right hand, as you see right there. If Mike Tyson hit him, it would be good night, Irene.
Okay, Larry, we had an opportunity to look at the strengths and weaknesses of both fighters. What's your total observation of this fight?
Well, I think Mike Tyson will go all the way. You got to stay on top of Mike Spinks, throw his punches, trap him, put him up against the rope, and do what he know how to do.
Okay, Larry, the intangibles with both fighters. First of all, Michael Spinks, he's been inactive for over a year. Would there be a problem?
Yeah, that would hurt him. I don't care what nobody says. They say inactivity sometimes does you good. I found out that's not true. I was off a year and 9 months, and when I got back in the ring with a young Mike Tyson, that really hurt me. So I don't think that's going to help Michael Spinks at all.
Okay, let's talk about the champ, Mike Tyson. He's had a few distractions in recent past. Will that be a factor there?
I don't think so, Ray, because he's young enough to overcome all of that. He don't really realize he has problems. The guy is rich, he's young, and he see a pot of gold ahead. So I don't really think he's going to have that much of a problem overcoming that.
Well, thank you, champ. But before you go, you must give me a prediction. Who's going to win the fight on June 27th?
Well, I have to say like this, Ray. I think this will sum it all up. Spinks jinx, there's nothing to it. The whole world knows he won't do it. He'll run around the ring for a few rounds, but Mike Tyson will run him down.
So your prediction is Mike Tyson by knockout?
Yes, by knockout.
Thanks, Larry.
You got it.
All right, champ.
Who's going to win the fight and why? Tyson. And let me tell you something. Don't go away for that first round. Don't buy a Coke and don't buy a hot dog because you're liable to miss the stroke because it's going to be a knockout.
Yes, everybody has an opinion about this battle of the heavyweights. And to conclude our look at the prospects for this morning's eagerly awaited big fight, Larry Merchant chairs this discussion.
Fight experts are a dime a dozen and worth every penny. And we've impaneled 4 cents worth right here with Ray Leonard, fresh from his outing with Larry Holmes, Richie Giacchetti, the former trainer of Larry Holmes, and Mike Katz, the boxing writer for the New York Daily News. Mike, for months now, people have been coming up to me in the street and airports, calling me on the freeway in cars. Does Mike Spinks have a chance? Does Michael Spinks have a chance?
I just don't see it. Of course, anybody has a chance who can punch. The question really comes down to whether or not Michael Spinks can hurt Mike Tyson. I don't think Spinks was a great puncher as a light heavyweight. I'm not sure that Mike Tyson has the best chin in the world. He doesn't have a Muhammad Ali chin, but he doesn't have an Ernie Shavers chin either. I think the question will be if Spinks can't keep Tyson off with his bad legs, then he's not going to be able to get away, and he has no chance.
Richie, fights usually come down to who can hurt who more. What do you think of Spinks' chin and his punching power?
Michael Spinks, when he fought Larry, even 2 times, Larry never come back one time and complained about it. He was hurt at all. And many times would come back in the corner and says, is the guy doing anything to you? He said, he's hitting me, but he's not hurting me. So I said, well, then put the pressure on him. I mean, what are you backing off? Just go walk through him. But he's got a style that's so unorthodox that he's so hard to hit, and then he throws these funny punches from all different angles that, he's like an Aaron Pryor or even Mike Tyson. The different angles is what's confusing the guy straight up on you. But can Michael Spinks hurt Mike Tyson? I don't think so. I don't think he can hurt him enough to put him out. But like Mike Kat says, his chin is still questionable to me. Is it like Ali Frazier, Ali Norton, Foreman in Norton, Larry Holmes in Norton? Larry Holmes and Spinks, and not Spinks, but Shavers. Can he take that punches in a war? I hit you, you hit me, back and forth, boom, boom, boom. Can Mike Tyson take that? This is what that Michael Spinks has to do. If he runs from him, it's going to be a dogfight.
Ray, I've read where you give Spinks a 50-50 chance to win. You've known Spinks since the 76 Olympics. He must have stuff in him to keep winning 12 years without a defeat. That has to be taken into account in a fight like this.
Larry, the reason I look forward to a great fight is because Michael Spinks is a clever boxer. It's not a matter of having to punch to hurt a Mike Tyson, because his main objective should be to outpoint him, not try to knock him out. The key to winning for Michael Spinks is to nullify and to break the rhythm of Mike Tyson, to give him angles, tie him up, not let him get his punches off, to frustrate him. It has to be similar to my fight with Hagler. I'm not a big puncher, but I went into the ring with one thought in mind: to outpoint, to outscore.
Yeah, but Mike Tyson appears to be almost like a natural force, the way he comes at you. He's not going to give you a chance to just stand around and box at the pace you want to box at. Don't you have to hit him with something to hold him off?
You got to sting him. You got to break his rhythm. Michael Spinks, because he's so unorthodox, he punches with angles, he does things that are not really in the book, but I think he has the physical attributes, the height, the good jab, and not really good foot movement, but he gives you something that is not expected, whether he moves to the right, left, back, forward.
There's a kind of intuitive sense I get from watching him about the distance between the fighters, when to jump in, when not to jump in. There's just something going on in his mind and his intuition about an opponent that is unusual.
He has a natural instinct to get the proper distance. He knows where to be at the right time. And like you say, you really don't know what he's doing, but he's doing it right. So it's hard to figure out. Like Ray said, when you're training a guy to fight this guy, you're saying, what do I really do with him? Because he don't know what he's doing. So how can you figure him out?
I think Michael, though, is a very limited right now physically fighter. I think he doesn't have the great legs anymore. He never really did have great legs. He used to run in parachute boots.
on concrete, and you know his knees are gone. I don't think he has the mobility to get away from Tyson. I don't think his height is going to be an advantage. In fact, I think it's going to be a disadvantage. If you look back at Michael Spinks' career, every time he's fought a short fighter, like Mike Tyson, he has had problems. He had problems with Braxton, or Cowie, whatever his name is. He had trouble with a club fighter named Willie the Bull Taylor. He just seems unable to punch down.
This fight could have been made a year ago for less money.
Right.
But would Spinks have had a better chance then?
Indubitably. Mike Tyson, a year ago, is not the same fighter that he is now. And Michael Spinks was a year younger.
Richie, you've dealt with fighters all of your life. We have a fighter now with turmoil going on around him and his management. Can that really get to a young fighter, or is he really oblivious?
I don't think he is oblivious to the whole thing, because the fact is, most of the fighters, let's go all the way back to Esteban, to Jesus, Aaron Pryor, and even Larry. They say the problems don't bother them, but everybody's going to come around and is going to ask them, what is your problem? Now that Jim Jacobs is gone, what is the problem with Bill Clayton? Is Don King coming in? Is who's the promoter in the fight? Who's this? They're going to ask a million questions. So it does play on your mind. Now, as a major part in the camp is to keep all this turmoil down so it does not bother Mike Tyson.
As a reporter, are you going to be more interested in this human story, this incredible story, rather than the tactics of the fight?
Of course. I mean, I think that's what the readers want. It's soap opera. We're appealing not only to boxing fans, we're appealing to the soap opera fans.
You had one management all your career, Ray. Did that give you a sense of, well, that's something I don't have to worry about, just take care of the boxing? Is this something you sense could affect Tyson?
Yes, Larry, because a boxer's mind is a very intricate and very delicate electrical system. And once there's one fuse that's blown, throws everything out of whack.
Quickly, your predictions.
Without changing my mind this time, Mike Tyson.
You picked Ray last time and then changed it. Okay.
All right, I picked in 5 rounds Mike Tyson. The only way that Spinks has a chance, he has to keep away from him.
I like Tyson early, like rounds 6, 7. Then I like Spinks because Spinks has time
You
to
have to
figure him
pick
out.
one, though, Ray. Pick one.
I like Mike Tyson early, I like Michael Spinks late.
Thank you, gentlemen. You were worth every penny of our investment.
Well, if you press me for a forecast, I reckon it'll be Tyson or Spinks. Well, the fight is just minutes away now, and we'll be joining Dickie Davis for the latest news and the build-up when we go live to the Trump Plaza in Atlantic City. Don't go away.
Good morning and welcome to Atlantic City for the richest boxing occasion ever. Iron Mike Tyson defending his undisputed world heavyweight title against the unbeaten Michael Spinks. A much anticipated encounter that has taken 2 years to make. And I can tell you this convention center is positively alive with excitement and expectation. It was virtually sold out the day the fight was announced. And behind me, 22,000 fight fans who paid a record-breaking $13 million for a ringside, an unbelievable $1,500, and they tell me that they could have charged more. And all this leads to a staggering payday for the champion of $23 million, and even for the betting underdog, Michael Spinks, at $13.5 million. With me is the former lightweight champion of the world, Jim Watt. Come in, Jim, very quickly. Did you ever think that you'd see $40 million split between two guys in one fight?
Well, we've seen some expensive fights over the years, Cooney Holmes, Hagler Leonard, and it's been an upward trend. I know I didn't ever think we'd see almost 40 million shared between two fighters, never.
You've been ringside for quite a long time now. Just what is the atmosphere like down there?
The atmosphere's tremendous. You can see that with the celebrities have come out to see the fight. Everybody's buzzing and really expecting an exciting night's work, and we hope that's what happens.
We'll have a chance to talk more about the fight a little later on before the big guys come in, but just give us an overall feel about the fights now.
I think everybody feels Tyson's going to win. I think that people are asking not will Spinks win, it's how long will he last, what kind of fight will he put up, will it be a survival, will he try to fight Tyson, will he face him, will he run, what will he do? So we know what Mike Tyson's going to do. Everybody's asking what will Michael Spinks be doing.
Yeah, this is the imponderable, isn't it, really? Because he's much heavier than he's been before, and that may not be an advantage for him.
I don't see the point in that at all. The only chance he has of victory is to keep out of trouble and pop away with a jab and don't take any chances. Extra weight does not help him in that campaign.
Well, I know that you're going for Tyson, but thank you for the moment. We'll have more time to talk just before the big boys come. Welcome back to the Convention Center here in Atlantic City. It's going to be some minutes before the big fight is on. In fact, about 5 or 6 minutes before the big guys come in. But I can tell you that excitement grows, and soon we shall find out whether this is going to be a sensational matchup or a classic mismatch. Either way, the fight has already created quite phenomenal interest.
Unanimous decision, and new heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Spinks.
My mission is to go and destroy and not to let anything get involved. If you get punched, you get hurt. I refuse to be hurt, knocked down, and knocked out. I can't lose. I refuse to lose.
So a little trip down memory lane in the company of Michael Spinks and Michael Tyson. And with me now, I'm really delighted to say we have our own Frank Bruno, the #1 contender for the world title. Frank, what is your feeling about this occasion so far?
It's unbelievable, Dickie. There's so much people here, so many stars and whatever. I can't put it into words. It's unbelievable. Good experience. Good experience.
I must say, we've been listening to the introductions of all the big names, and you've been fascinated by it all down in the ring there.
Yeah, they even called your name, Dickie.
I doubt that very much indeed. I must say there have been so many unsettling subplots to this for Mike Tyson with management problems and family problems that we've seen. it's hardly the best preparation for a fight for him, is it?
It's difficult. Some fighters won't be able to handle, but Tyson's a roughneck chicken, you know what I mean? He's a ghetto sort of guy, so I don't think it affects him one little bit. It'll just make him more angry and more determined and fired up, I think.
He has been saying that he's not quite sure whether he's coming to London to fight you on the 3rd of September. Have you heard that at all?
It's a difficult thing at the moment because his manager solicitors down there, and it looks a bit dodgy at the moment. Not too dodgy, but it looks a little bit dodgy. After the fight, you know what I mean, it'd be a much more better fight after the fight with the managers and the fighter.
It will be a source of great disappointment to you and all of us if it doesn't happen anyway, Frank.
I think it will, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the common sense will prevail, you know, so I think it will happen, Dickie. But, you know, we just got to wait and see after the fight and see how it goes.
Now, what about this fight? I mean, do you have any doubts at all that Tyson will win it?
That's a difficult question. My mind goes for Tyson, but my heart goes for Spinks, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, a lot of experts fancy Spinks over in America, so I can't be too sure. But I would like Mike Tyson to win, because Mrs. Thatcher would like him to win as well, you know?
Why do you think that is?
I'm not too sure, but she told me she would like him to win, Dickie.
Oh, well, I don't know that he knows about that, but he'll be delighted to hear it. What do you think Mike Spinks' best tactics to survive in this fight?
It's a difficult one to really pick, Dickie, because Tyson might be so fired up he might just come out and just steamroll him and get it all over and done with in one round. And Spinks is a very, you know what I mean, cagey guy, you know, very experienced in the light heavyweight category, but in the heavyweight, this is a young little bull coming in there, so it's going to be so difficult. I can't wait to see it, you know.
It really is a clash of stars, isn't it? Because Spinks is a very unorthodox boxer.
Very, very unorthodox. He grabbed your big toe to avoid the punch, you know, so you've got to have a lot of respect for him. He's a very cagey guy. He's undefeated, so you know what I mean, that speaks for itself.
I know you were saying he's a light heavyweight, a great light heavyweight, and one wonders, you know, whether he can ever make a really great heavyweight, because although he's put a lot of weight on, he's coming in at 15, 2 1/4 this time, which may be not to his advantage.
It's so interesting, it's so weird. That's what makes boxing so interesting, you know what I mean? This is the richest fight in history, so you know, you just got to wait and see, Dickie.
You know, you're absolutely right, Brad, because we've been talking to so many different people, and they're speculating about how Tyson is going to approach this one. Will he come out straight away? Will he toy with it? What do you think he'll do?
If I was an expert, I would have put my house on it, you know what I mean? I couldn't really tell you. I just want to go and see I just want to wait and see the fight, because I don't want to say nothing and embarrass myself later on. So I think Mike Tyson's going to do a job on him, but, you know, I just got to wait and see.
Well, Frank, thank you very much indeed for coming up to join us. It's been so good of you, and I know you're dying and go right back to ringside. We'll see you and talk to you after the fight if we may. Thanks very much indeed, Frank.
Cheers. Thank you, Dickie.
Right. Well, I tell you what, we can tell you that the fight is going to be coming up very soon. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it'll be the action itself. Mike Tyson against Michael Spinks coming up right after this break. Welcome back to the Convention Center in Atlantic City. We're reaching towards the climax. They're still introducing the many, many stars that are here, including people like Frank Sinatra, Madonna, and of course the legendary Muhammad Ali. So until the two men start making their way into towards the ring, let's have another word with the former lightweight champion of the world, Jim Watt. Jim, we've talked loosely about this fight, but let's be rather more specific now. Michael Spinks, what tactics would give him his best shot, do you think?
Well, I would expect the only chance Spinks has a victory is to keep out of trouble for 12 rounds, which is a tall order, to use all his boxing skills, his awkwardness, and try to give Tyson as many problems as possible, tie him up inside and pop away with the jab. He's come in heavy, and I don't see the sense in that. Maybe he feels he needs a little bit extra weight because so much of this fight is going to be at close quarters because of the way Tyson fights. Nobody can keep Tyson off of him. So maybe he's realised Tyson's going to get close. He needs a little bit of weight to hold him inside. But personally, I think it's the wrong tactics. I think he should have come in lighter and faster.
He has a very experienced man in Eddie Futch in the corner who has said that he thinks that Tyson can be beaten mentally in this fight. And do you think that's a possibility?
I don't really think so. We're speaking about a man who won the heavyweight title at the age of 20. He's had so many problems in his young personal life all the way through. He's been thrown in. The eyes of the world have been upon him every time he makes an appearance. I don't think he has a nerve in his body. I don't think he can be beaten mentally. Definitely not.
It has to be said that Spinks has said he's certainly not just to come here for the payday. I mean, he's really going to put a fight.
Well, Spinks is a very proud man. He always has been a proud man, so he's undefeated. He will try. He'll try his best to win, but I don't think he can do it.
Thank you very much. And now the national anthem.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hail at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombers singing air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? All the land of the free and the home of the
Well, what a reception that was. Jeffrey Osborne, and sang the anthem in with the modern touch, and I tell you, it was well appreciated there, certainly among the celebrity rows as we were panning our cameras along there for you to try and pick them all out. And there it is. It's not a hideout, and they're not guarding the door to stop him running away, that's for sure, Mike Tyson. Presumably they normally send the challenger in first, the former champion Michael Spinks, of course. And he's been hidden away almost since the weigh-in ceremony on Saturday, Tyson and Spinks, but more so Tyson, who came in at 218 and a quarter, 15 stone 8 and a quarter. He was just 2 pounds heavier than he weighed against Tony Tubbs last March. And he's already had 5 defences of the championship. And of course the man with great interest in this, watching just behind us, if he's managed to get back to his seat, is Big Frank Bruno, who's listed as the #1 by the WBA, WBC, and therefore Tyson, in fact, would have to make a mandatory defence against him at some time. Whether it's going to be September the 3rd or not in London, we don't know. And back in the arena, the man getting all the cheers there. He says he's now weighing 225 pounds. He actually boxed once at 228. And I'm glad to see that, well, the one and only, isn't he, Muhammad Ali, is getting himself back into shape again. He's been suffering from the Parkinson syndrome, but he said he forgets to take his medicine at times. But the crowd still love him, and he feeds off the crowd. And Master shown is Michael Buffer, asking him to stay there. I don't know whether that's just for extra filming around the world now. Remember, it's going. The home box office team are doing that here, and I know that some of the regular boys that do that are actually still at Wimbledon and are sitting up all night watching it with us, and watching their pictures but listening to our voices. Leroy Neiman, well-known artist, goes everywhere and does, well, apart from fight cover programs, which he loves doing, he has his own art exhibitions around the world. And back there, make sure the great man hasn't escaped, Jim. These feelings build up now. I mean, you know, in the old dressing room, they really must feel it.
Yeah, well, the way we see Tyson enter the ring soaked in sweat, we know what he does in the dressing room. He just gets himself into his meaning, as fighting a mood as he can get, and it's never failed him so far. We wasn't really expected to fail him tonight, but he'll be in there still loosening up, punching fresh air, waiting until his punches land on something.
That's Donald Trump, the multi-millionaire who owns, of course, the Trump Casino, among others. And this joins the Trump Casino, this great old convention hall. They've now managed to squeeze 22,000 people in. and probably could have sold more by the look of the crowd here. And the impresario, the man who always looks as though he's just put his foot in an electric plug there, and the old hair stands up straight, Don King, Jack Nicholson. Great fight fan. He really does get carried away. So he sat with us and in a commentary box at the Los Angeles Olympics, and I tell you, he rooted like mad for the American team. We had to quieten him down a bit. Well, maybe that's you he's waving to. Larry Hazard is the commissioner for New Jersey, a former amateur boxer and a top-class referee, and a very tough commissioner too. And he wouldn't bend on the rules of the IBF, who are supposed to be supervising this fight, that if either man was knocked down in the last seconds of the last round, he would not be saved for the bell. So it would go into extra time and be counted out, which I can't say I agree with that rule. The contest is over or it isn't over. You can't just keep extending it. But there you are. That's most unlikely to happen, but if it does, be prepared for it. So they do love the old totaling up the stats here, the statistics with the percentages. So there seems to be some hold-up at the back there. I hope, Jim, they're not debating about getting their money before they come out or something, but they are definitely overrunning back there now, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I would imagine they would both be rushing out now to get it over with. There's been a lot of talk, years of talk, not just months of talk about this fight. You would think the sooner the boys could get into the ring, the better. Maybe there's a problem with bandages or something like that.
Well, there it is, the Rocky theme striking up the Eye of the Tiger. And I imagine that any minute they'll come out of cover. They do love security in America, I tell you that.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the fighters come toward the ring, let me introduce the superstar of the NBA, Mr. Michael Jordan.
Well, it looks like the cops are protecting the cops at the moment. There's the house security and the New Jersey police, or Atlantic City section anyway. And they haven't stopped introducing all the personalities here. There's so many of them, they're nearly running out of them, I think, by now. Imagine that, a mere 840 pounds equivalent to a $1,500 ringside seat. The cheapest is $100, about 55 pounds. And that'll give you an idea again of the fights per year they've had, and Spinks is the one who's been out a little bit. That just might go against him. Most of that has been the backstage squabbling and all that sort of thing. And while those captains were up, well, the MC finally acknowledged that Frank Bruno was in the audience and returned to his seat. And strange enough, Don King is just leaning over the ropes asking if Barry McGuigan made the trip from Luton from Saturday to get here, as Jim Watt, Dickie Davis and I have done. There you are. There's a rundown of the weights. When he was 201 with Tankstead, Stephen Tankstead, in fact, is a couple of seats behind us. He fought, of course, Michael Spinks, and he's working for Norwegian television. We're still trying to work out what the problem is, and the man who's officially running the show, although it's owned by Donald Trump, who bought the site rights, as they call it, and gave just a mere $11 million to put it on, which, when you think that they only go 6.5 for Hagler and Leonard at Caesar Palace in Las Vegas, he doesn't know quite what the hold-up is. The people that are broadcasting around the world, the American network, is going to close circuit pay-per-view television here. They don't know either what the hold-up's about.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I would like to make a very special introduction. In July of 1951...
That's Larry Hazard, the New Jersey commissioner, is going back now to find out what the problem is, and he'll be banging on the door, I promise you that.
10 seconds later, He was the heavyweight champion of the
So
world.
10 years difference now with the run down there, and the weight as we thought. And it's amazing with Michael Spinks the way this man has jumped up in weight and still retained the agility there at 15 stone 2 1/4.
New Jersey's greatest sports hero, one of the most respected and loved heavyweight title holders, the former heavyweight
Big difference in reach there, isn't it? But it's negligible. He nullifies that, Tyson, when he tucks himself inside the arm. And as we come back to our Mike Buffer is Jersey hero here, the great Jersey Joe Walcott. What a good champion he was. And then he became the New Jersey, he was mayor of Camden, New Jersey. Jim, whether dear old Butch Lewis, the manager of Michael Spinks, whether he's just putting his oar in back there and having a bit of an argument, just running down those again before we go on with that. As I say, there are 3 judges, all American judges. No standing 8 count means it's the amateur rule, that one, but you don't have to go down to take the count. And as I emphasised a little earlier there, that cannot be saved as the bell goes in the last round. And the 3 knockdown rule, which is in effect in New Jersey, is not in effect for the main event. He's looking a bit agitated, Larry Hazard.
Leon Spinks, ladies and gentlemen.
And they've introduced Michael Spinks' brother Leon. And yes, there's Butch Lewis, the man who's put his shirt on his man, and then he's obviously conceded that he's ready. Maybe, I don't know whether he's playing some sort of silly game. I wouldn't have thought so, unless he wanted to come out second, but that's most unusual. And there the man says you can't see any more. I tell you, this only in America, as Don King says, and carrying Michael Spinks' presumably light heavyweight championship. He was a tremendous light heavyweight champion. And the noise is absolutely deafening in the convention centre while we're watching this backstage. And I don't know whether they were his minders, friends, hangers-on, or what they are for sure. But they're applauding their man, Michael Spinks, who's very well liked among fraternity. I don't know about promoters particularly. And there's Butch Lewis again. A lot of criticism in his day, Butch, but he's made Spinks fights come to a lot of money. I don't know what that's all about, putting his hand up there in front of the camera. I'll tell you what, Jim, any minute now, Mike Tyson will go over and say, what's the matter, don't you want to fight me?
Well, I think Mike may go into the dressing room and say, why don't we just do it here? I don't mind where we do it. But I don't know what's going on here. I don't know maybe if Butch Lewis feels that Spinks should be second into the ring. He claims he's the people's champion, but it's not the people's title that's at stake tonight. It's the undisputed heavyweight title, so obviously the challenger must go in first. Maybe that's not the problem, but that's what it looks like. Or maybe it's just Butch Lewis playing silly games as he's been known to do in the past.
Well, obviously he doesn't think they're silly games. He really sticks by it. Well, they're sweating. There's Bill Caton, who's the manager, well, supposed to be having some problems. 70-year-old Bill has been with Tyson right from the off when he was about a 16-year-old. He and his late partner, Jim Jacobs, formerly in the advertising business, the man from Madison Avenue. And he doesn't look too displeased with himself, does he? Even though he's got 1 or 2 squabbles going, that he thinks he can get okay. That's Tyson's wife, Robin Gibbons, there, or Robin Gibbons Tyson. And finally, we've got the challenger. And you just wait until he gets past this next curtain, and the crowd will certainly, I hope, give him a big welcome. He's been very popular around these parts. He defeated Jerry Cooney here. Although his heavyweight career has really been limited against Larry Holmes, Cooney, and Stephen Tankstead. So, security clearing the path in front of these people. Our cameraman's as brave as anything, isn't he, hanging in there? And the music is as high as they can play it, I think, as he comes in. He's got a good chance of being deafened as he hits this music. That is some long walk he's got there, Jim.
Well, it's going to take as long again to get him to the ring, I think. He looks pretty relaxed. His eyes look pretty calm, and he's got things to say, which is a good sign, I suppose. I don't know who is he speaking to, but he's got something to say. His eyes are looking cool, calm, and waving to the crowd, yep.
Well, and right behind him is the 77-year-old Eddie Futch, trainer, and he's had some great fighters in his time, a good strategist. And as he says, when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Hagler, they called it boxing, but if my man moves like that, they'll call it running. But if it's going to work, we think we can do it. We've got the strategy to beat Tyson. And that music is really thumping out now as Spinks comes down the aisles and the crowd realise he's finally into the arena. He promises to be all business in there tonight. Well, if he doesn't, I tell you, he's no business in there. And it's amazing the way he's risen from 11 stone, 11 pounds as an amateur gold medalist in Montreal, right up to 212 now as a professional heavyweight. And he did that as a professor of Human Performance Institute in New Orleans, and still maintained his agility. That part of it is just remarkable. Whether he punches hard enough is another argument. It's really hard work pushing their way to the ring for these fellas, trying to maintain their concentration, certainly as Tyson does. And he's finally on this almost scaffold of a ring there. And he looks a bit relieved that he's made it to the ring without any problems there. I wondered if he was late coming in. And there's the rundown of his record, of course, undefeated, mostly as a light heavyweight. He made 10 defences of the light heavyweight championship. And there's Muhammad Ali giving the man his best wishes. And Ali is one of the people who thinks he's got a good chance. Obviously, it's not a similar style to Ali. Nobody was quite that good. But he's got the most awkward and difficult style. And all the celebrities now have been introduced. It took them all day to sort out the seats for the heavy gamblers and the celebrities. And I tell you, the fellow who tried to do that, well, I think the fellow who did the head count on Noah's Ark had an easier job. Yes, there's Tyson now, and he loves that thumping music as it comes in there, doesn't he? At one point, he wanted no music. He wanted his own gladiatorial entrance, Tyson. But that's the kind of intimidating music that was asked for, apparently. And I think he can do that without the record.
Would Mr. Donald Trump please come into the ring? Mr. Donald Trump, please come up into the ring.
And there he is, barebacked as usual, and the famous 19 3/4 inch neck. A man from the Times who says, well, it looks a bit like the oval gasometer, and he's right. It looks big enough to fight any lightweights his neck, doesn't it? What a procession this is to bring in now boxing's torch carrier, isn't he? We wonder whether these outside distractions, marriage, mother-in-law, manager, is going to harm him at all. But he says boxing's my obsession and I'm a warrior. And I tell you what, I don't disbelieve him. He's got no noticeable occupational fear at all. He says, well, fear's a beast that's got to be controlled, and I can do that. As he pushes his way through there, he really does sweat like a horse. This incredible man. He's not 22 until Thursday. Well, not 97 days, can you imagine that? It doesn't bother him too much. It's just last week as far as he's concerned. And finally, the whole crowd can see him. The people in what they call the bleachers up here, the balconies, at $100 a throw, has Mike's record. 15 of those in the first round. Gary Rooney then, the trainer, wearing the baseball cap. And who's a great customato, the late Cuss, passed on his knowledge.
Mr. Donald Trump, Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino on the Boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Tonight, Don King Productions presents World Championship Boxing. This fellow is presented with the...
Well, his Jim is right above us now. He's sweating like a horse again, isn't he, Tyson?
Yeah, well, I think he has in his mind his usual first round. As soon as the first bell sounds, out it goes right down to what he gets on with it. He really has warmed up.
At ringside, President Robert W. Lee. The ringside supervisor, Bill Brennan. The World Boxing Council is represented by President Jose.
Well, he's keeping warm while they're doing the official announcements.
Dr. Elias Cano. The World Boxing Association. Its president, Gilberto Mendoza, at ringside, along with James Davis, Esquire Legal Counsel, and Championship Committee Chairman, Dr. Elias M. Cordova. The three judges for this contest, John Stewart, Eva Shane, and Rocky Castellani.
So we've got a lady judging here, and she's very experienced.
Also at ringside, Dr. Stanley Adams and Dr.
I think there just might be superfluous there, don't you? It's been cut from, hopefully it was going to be 15 rounds, it's been cut back to 12 by the New Jersey Commission. Frank Cappuccino from New Jersey, wearing the obligatory rubber gloves now, the anti-AIDS thing.
Responsible for bringing the spectacular event to Atlantic City, and I would like to properly acknowledge
Butch Lewis in his white suit and shirtless is in the ring. Well, if his man won tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if his skin didn't crease.
The art of the deal is vision and accomplishment make him the quintessential.
And there's Donald Trump, the man who he or his companies put up the mere 11 million site fee to put this on here. And I shouldn't try too much for him. I have a feeling what they call the drop, meaning the gamblers here, the money they take in all the casinos will more than pay for it.
1960, an Olympic gold medal winner. In 1964,
he's sweating heavily too, isn't he? There, as the old professor's put his glasses on. Ali, look at that.
And in 1979, he won it, an unprecedented third time. Perhaps he is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, well, who's arguing? What a reaction he's going to get here. What applause this man's going to get, Ali. And getting down a bit of weight as well, he was there too, I'm pleased to say. Just incredible. It's echoing around here. It's shifting the paint from the rafters, Jim.
He always gets the best cheer of all. No matter who's here, Ali's the man.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, once and for all, let's get ready to rumble 12 rounds for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with black trim, and weighing in at 212 1/4 pounds. He's originally from St. Louis, Missouri, now lives in Wilmington, Delaware. This Olympic gold medal champion has a professional record of 31 victories without a loss, 21 by knockout. He is the former undisputed and undefeated light heavyweight champion of the world and the only king of that division ever to win the heavyweight title in the history of boxing. Because he never lost that title in the ring, he is still recognized by many, including Boxing Illustrated and Ring Magazine, as the heavyweight champion. Ladies and gentlemen, the undefeated man who brings the jigs, Michael Spinks.
The man that brings the jinx, they said, Michael Spinks. Well, we'll find out. That's quite right. A couple of trade magazines still regard him as the champion. I would certainly dispute that.
And fighting out of the red corner, wearing the solid black trunks and weighing 218 1/4 pounds, originally from the streets of Brooklyn. He passed through the hometown of the late great trainer of champions, Cus D'Amato, Catskill, New York, and he now lives in North New Jersey. His professional record, 34 consecutive victories with 30 knockouts, including 26 KOs in 5 rounds or less, and 15 in the first round alone. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Tyson.
I just love the way that man, he ignores almost, doesn't he? He enjoys living on the edge of everything, you know. I think he likes the smell of danger, and he admits he doesn't mind hurting people either. He's just, well, he's as individual as a fingerprint, this man.
Are there any questions by either of you?
But unlikely to have any questions time. They popped the gum shields in, or the mouthpieces as they call them here. And at long last, we're on with the Mega Bucks battle. Once and for all it's called, and a prayer offered there by Mike Spinks, a cuddle and a huddle by Kevin Rooney. Very close, this little corner. I admire Tyson for that. Keeps the people he started with. And there's old Eddie Futch on the outside there, and I don't know what he says to them, but all I could say is, look out, here he comes, I think, if I was in the corner. So at long last, the ring's cleared, and we can get on with it. Let's go, says Frank Nicotino. And again, there seems to be this mild her up now. Incredible rise of the crowd. That's the pattern, is it? Tyson's going to get straight after him. He's not going to hang around there. And he caught him with the elbow as well there. And the referee spotted it. Forearm, anyway. Spinks won't be able to stand early on anyway and punch it out with him. He's got to get on the move. That's sensible. Oh, the right hand planted in there. He's not going for another one-round winner here. I can't believe this, Mike Tyson. Will be 16 if he makes it. He doesn't lark about this man. Right above us here as the timekeeper's yelling the count there, and he gets a standing 8 count by Cappuccino. The crowd are going crazy. As much as they paid vast sums to come here with a one, and he's knocked him out. His head's right above us. And he looks as though he's almost unconscious. And they're not going to get him back up at all there. They're really not. What this man, Tyson, totally unstoppable. Incredible champion, and he says he's only 50% of what he thinks he's going to be. And I must say, I always thought he could walk right in and through Michael Spinks, but no way did I think it'd be as quick as that. And they're putting a stool in the middle of the ring here for Michael Spinks to sit down, and Butch Lewis there is guided into that and got there. We made that about 1 minute and 31, I think, the timekeeper in front of me. Jim?
Well, as Spinks came into the ring, I remarked that he looked quite cool. Maybe I was wrong, maybe he was in shock, because he didn't move properly. He didn't do anything properly. Twice he ran into trouble in the round. It was because he led off to Tyson. He led with silly right hands, and each time Tyson put him in trouble. The second time, almost taking his head off and finishing the fight. But I wonder if Spinks committed suicide the way we thought Berbick did.
What a touch that is, Jim. You don't often see Mike Tyson coming in to kiss the man on the... And to be fair to Spinks, he's faced him because he's just had the total humiliation there. Not only his first defeat, but short, sharp, merciless, complete. And I tell you, it's around this ringside here when Tyson fights. It's remarkable. They've just shoved the fellow out there that's crashed right across some commentary positions here. We know Tomasi from Italy doesn't seem to be too pleased about that. And it's just like a carnival in an alley again here, no matter how much... and it isn't the photographers, they're quite orderly. Right, Jim, here we can have another look at that.
Well, the writing was on the wall in the first knockdown, but that was the second knockdown. The punch caught him high. Tyson got his shoulder behind the punch, and as soon as he went down, the way he went down and the way he just lay there, we knew he wasn't getting up again.
Yeah, now we can look at it now from the close-up angle. There's old Butch Lewis in the white suit on the far side. It has made no difference to him. The way he went down, you knew when the back hits the floor like that he's just not going to make it. All those millions of dollars for a minute and a half's work, and I know what people are saying, well, I wouldn't mind doing that for that money, but I tell you, you wouldn't if you were facing this man. He is just a remarkable champion, Mike Tyson, and I'm wondering now what Frank Bruno's thinking of this.
See, after the first knockdown, the writing was in the wall, because it wasn't even really a very good punch that put him over the first time. There he leads with a silly right hand, overcomes Tyson, short uppercut.
Yes, he led with it and opened his chin to that. That really was a mistake for a fellow with a good boxing brain like him. I am staggered. So all these people are telling me maybe the troubles that he's had. So Larry Merchant now is going to talk to Tyson.
Mike, congratulations. Did you have any premonition that it would end this fast?
My trainer told me before I left, I bet both of our purses that you knock them out in the first round. So I thought he was serious because just now he said he was lying. And so I went out and knocked him out in the first round.
It seemed to, what did you hurt him with? How did it start?
The first one was, I think it was a right hand on top of the head, but he took it well. And then I hit him with a short left hook. Remember, short left uppercut. It was a left uppercut that you told me to throw. And then I threw a right hand to the body and he went down. And then from that punch, I think what it was the right hand off the head.
It seemed to me that when he was hurt, his instinct as a champion, instead of covering up and running, was to fight back, and that's why you finished him.
From what I know of human nature, there's only two things that he was capable of doing. Either running and thinking it out, or come out and fighting. I knew either he'd be scared and come out fighting. And that's what I thought. Maybe he was a little jittery, so he came out fighting, giving it his best, hoping for a knockout or a cut or something, because he was fighting very furiously, as you noticed.
Mike didn't give him a chance to do anything else. After the first knockdown, he got right on him and worked the body and come after the head again. That's what knocked him out.
All right, what happened? What was all the delay about before? Do you think Michael just didn't want this to get here this quick?
Well, I think he was trying to scrutinize with my brain and make me wait it out. But, you know, I was getting upset. I wanted to go. I'm the kind of guy who just want to fight. Let's get in there and fight. I don't care who comes in first. We come in both at the same time. That's what we planned, because we come on together. And so my main objective was to go out there. Like I said, my trainer told me the whole purse is better on one round. Now I come back to collect my money, and he said he was joking. He didn't make the bet.
But still a good payday.
All right, let's talk about the first knockdown. Describe it for me in your memory, because we don't have a monitor here right now.
Well, I can't remember it much because it was so quick, a right hand. But my main objective was to come out here and take him out.
Put the right hand to the body. The right hand to the body.
A left uppercut and a right to the body. My producer is telling me in my ear, is that what started the beginning of the end? Did you think there was any way he could deal not just with your punch, but with the pressure?
Well, can I tell you, as you noticed, I was moving more. I was coming out with my jab more. I took it right to him. You know what I mean? It was do or die I came into. You know, my projection was either do or die. That's what we came out to do.
Was your perception of the fight that you're simply too strong for him?
I was just all around a better fighter than he is. You know what I mean? You could be strong, but the power doesn't have no value unless you have means of landing it on the target. And as you know, he's very elusive. And he was throwing punches and I was making him miss. And he didn't hit me with one punch. But no one said that, though. I'm just a slugger.
All right, now again in your memory, because we don't have a monitor, the finish. You're a great finisher. What went through your mind when you saw that he was hurt, and then you went in for the finish?
Well, once I knew he was hurt, I knew all my punches were good, with precise and accurate pinpoint, and he wasn't going to survive the round.
It seems that you didn't get over anxious, you were patient, and that you knew that the end was near.
Before I came there, Duran came and visited me. You know what I mean? Duran is my #1 hero, Roberto Duran. And he told me that this guy has made the order for you. You have to relax. Don't chase him. You have to be calm and relax and punch to the body and throw combinations to the head. And that's what I plan to do, basically. But he knew the strategy, the way to fight him also.
There was some concern because of all of the domestic and managerial chaos before the fight that maybe you would get too anxious.
Well, like I say, I'm a professional. Whatever happens, the job has to be done.
Do you feel that this proves that, like most long-term champions who have problems outside the ring, that you've now put that aside, that you can show that these kinds of things are not going to undermine you?
Well, you know what I mean, like I said, I'm a businessman. When it comes to business, I love fighting. And I mean, regardless of the situations outside of me, we deal with those later. But as far as my career, you know what I mean, there's no fighter like me. I was reading today, there was some fighters in the papers quoting, I don't like Mike Tyson because he's too cocky and he's arrogant. But for all the fighters that said that, you know what I mean, I let them know, there's no fighter like me, and I can beat any man in the world.
Thank you, Mike. And
Brownsville! All right!
All right, for Brownsville, let's go to Ray Leonard, who's with the guy from St. Louis.
Thank you, Larry. Mike, I know
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time.
It's been a secret as far as what you was planning on doing. What was your game plan against Mike Tyson?
Well, my game plan was to try to box, you know. But as you know, Mike is a shorter man, so I thought that I would have to nail him a couple times to get the respect out of him. But unfortunately, I came up short.
What about the additional weight, Mike? Additional weight? The weight bothered at all?
No, the weight didn't bother me at all. If it did, I'm not aware of it. I've been performing pretty well in the gym, doing extremely well. So I didn't think that the weight would have played a role in it at all.
You know, I can relate to you so well, Mike, because I was knocked down for the first time in my career, and it's a matter of how you're going to react afterwards. When you were knocked down, what thoughts crossed your mind?
Well, to get up. To get up and try to resume fighting if I could. And I was pretty sane. I mean, my family was pretty straight. And that's about it. I just wanted to resume fighting and not stay down.
So where do you go from here, Mike? I know it's going to be a while before you make a decision, but where do you go from here? Or can you say?
Well, first, I'll just enjoy the fact that the fight is over. And I'll sit back and see what's next or what's left for me to do in boxing. And I'll let you know, right?
Okay, man. What a good fight, man. I was proud of you, man. Gave it your all.
Oh, sure. I'll do it each and every time.
What? God bless you, baby.
All
Back
right,
to you,
God bless
Larry.
you, Ray.
Well, it's a fight that took 2 years to make and 1.5 minutes to finish. And I think if Tyson gets $23 million for that fight, it works out round about $16 million a minute. With me again, Frank Bruno and Jim Watt. A first word from you. Did that surprise you too much?
Not much. As I said, he may come out steamrolling, and he just done that, you know.
I know you didn't.
He's King Kong for the night now.
He's just said there in the interview that he can beat anyone in the world. Now, would you quibble with that?
Well, on September the 1st, I'm going to the press conference now, and I hope we can sign a deal for September the 3rd, and then we'll sort it out from then.
Michael Spinks said he was not coming here just to get a payday, but I mean, there was no sign of opposition from him at all, was there?
A middleweight from the Olympics, a light heavyweight, not even a cruiserweight up to heavyweight, but I'm not taking nothing away because it takes a man to go in the ring there, but, you know, he's just a light heavyweight, but I'm not taking nothing away from him. You know, I mean, he's just a light heavyweight.
No, it won't come because he's been a brilliant boxer, as you say, as a world light heavyweight champion.
For boxing.
Absolutely right. But Tyson looks absolutely invincible at the moment. You've got other views on that, as you've just said. On the 1st of September, you'll find out.
Right. Now they're making him out to be King Kong, but I'm not going to get on that weight, you know what I mean, bandwagon, you know. I know what I've got. I know I've got power, you know, and something to let him have respect for me.
Right, now let me ask you this. How are you going to spend the time between now and early September? What are your plans?
Well, I want to go in the press conference now and hope, I pray to God that we can sign the contract so I can go back to England with George Francis and really get down to some serious work, you know?
Well, thank you very much. We're indebted to you coming up, Frank, and why don't you go down to the press conference now and make sure that you get all the information that you want. Thanks so much. Thank you. Oh, yes, indeed. Right, come on, Jim. Let's have a word now. As a matter of fact, Frank Bruno said to me before going down, he wouldn't commit himself, but quietly he said he could go in the first round, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, well, we all knew what Mike Tyson was going to do. We didn't know what Spinks was going to do. Unfortunately, came out and did very little. As he came into the ring, I thought he looked cool, but on reflection, he'd accepted defeat. I don't think he was there to win. I don't think a service was done to boxing, unfortunately. Before the fight actually started, when the announcements were going on, Tyson was parading around the ring, really getting into a fighting mood. Spinks didn't move, didn't even take his dressing gown off to the last minute. I think he was only there to make up the numbers. I think he knew what was going to happen tonight, and I've never seen Spinks do so many silly things in a minute and a half. Two silly right-hand leads, both put him in trouble. The second one finished him for the...
Well, it's easy to be wise after the fact, but, you know, when you look back at the way he's been appearing, he does not look confident. He's looked as if he was not in the least bit interested in the fight at times, has he, Spinks?
No, I thought he would have come out. Even when a fighter knows he's going to lose, sometimes that's where heroics come from. You know you're going to lose, so you have nothing to lose, so you give it everything. But Spinks did not do that. He came out and accepted defeat, but he didn't go out blazing. He just went out like a lamb, unfortunately. And it's an awful lot of money, and as I say, it's a pity because so many eyes are on boxing tonight, and I don't think it's done the sport an awful lot of good.
You didn't think it was going to happen, but so many people were conjecturing with the thought that Tyson had so much turmoil around him in terms of domestic problems and all kinds of unsettling subplots. But it didn't affect him in the least. As you said earlier, I think it might make him even angrier.
Yeah, it probably did. Again, I keep going back to not what Tyson did the same thing he always does. Fight onto an opponent, exert the pressure and wait for the openings. That's what Spinks did. It was a lack of what Spinks did. Obviously, it's easy for me to stand here and say what you should do with Tyson. I didn't expect Spinks to win, but I expected him to put up a show. He's a very proud man, and I think himself, for the rest of his life, he's going to be disappointed because you can't turn the clock back. And Spinks is better than he proved tonight. He just couldn't cope with the occasion.
Well, we all look ahead to 3 months now in September, and Frank Bruno, I mean, have you any ideas as to whether this might happen or not?
Well, hopefully it will happen. I don't think Tyson likes to stay out of the ring And I think the fact that if he gets into legal battles, you know how long they take. He could be out of the ring for 2 years. I don't think Tyson will put up with that. I think whatever he has to do to keep himself busy, keep on doing what he's doing, then he'll do that. So I think that the September fight with Bruno will go ahead.
Well, let's hope it does. And thank you very much indeed, Jim. Thanks so much for the programme. Well, there we are. That's we're going to have time to look at another interesting heavyweight fight that took place earlier today. It was a 10-rounder which featured James Buster